minds now. Like it's like the wave that is starting to show up in people right now. So I think that's really interesting.
Okay, so I mean, how are you feeling? How is your mind, Laura?
Well, it's all right. I mean, I can tell that, you know, autumn and winter is coming, and there's still some unsure things happening in the world. So I can definitely feel the impact that you know, the situation from previous mind has on me right now. And it's kind of for me to like go on with the journey and see where it leads me. But it's very important to be mindful of those changes and how it can impact your mind. So yeah, I try to be very mindful and very good to myself as well, especially.
Okay, so it's important to be good to yourself. That's something we can pick up on. I just want to say hi to Josephine as well. We just kicked this off. We are doing a hybrid Talkaoke here, so we are live out on the street, although we've not got any punters yet on the street. We've got plenty online. There we go. Look, I've just disappeared. I can go in and out just like that. Anyway, at the moment we're talking about, you know, what is this strange year, the lockdown, the pandemic, whatever we're calling this now. What is it doing to our minds? And is it important to be good to yourself, says Laura. So anyone got any response to that? Any thoughts about that? Katie?
I think that it's not only about us being good to ourselves. I think this period now is kind of a point of growth where we need to learn to be good to each other too, while still being, you know, separate.
Yeah.
Because I work, well, I don't know, I've been on follow mostly. So I used to work in hospitality industry, and a lot of my friends, they split into two categories. Those who choose to take care of themselves, they still organize secret parties and still go to group gatherings and so on. They just say, oh, we're fine. And then there is another group which say that, okay, we're not doing that as much as we want because we're trying to take care of others. So I think this is the time when this difference became quite visible.
Okay, so those who are taking care of themselves are not necessarily abiding strictly to the rules. That's what you're saying, really, isn't it?
I think that it's a very tricky to how we define taking care of ourselves.
Yeah.
It's kind of a rabbit hole. How deep do you go? You know, we get influenced by everyone around us. If everything gets locked down eventually because of you know, people breaking the rules, then we're not taking care of ourselves. I think it's a question, how far ahead are we thinking about, and how far ahead can we imagine how things will turn around?
Okay, so how far ahead are we thinking? What does it really mean to be taking care of ourselves as a collective? Josephine, are you coming in there? Or was that just like banging the mic?
That was me just clearing my throat.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you're doing it at a distance.
It's not COVID, I don't think. I don't really know. It could be, yes. It's so strange, isn't it, really? Yeah.
How are you feeling? And I kind of asked a very personal question to Laura when we started this off, which is, how is your mind? But because I sort of know you, Josephine, I feel I can ask you as well and spread this around. How is your mind at the moment? How are you kind of like, what are you thinking, or how's it all kind of, how are those cogs? I know brains don't work like that, but how are the cogs whirring?
The cogs are whirring better. I mean, I think psychedelics are really wonderful, basically. You know, I mean, there's and I would really say, I mean, there's a lot of, you know, there's a psychedelics research center at Imperial what's it called, Imperial College, and there's lots of research obviously about treatments for psychedelics treating depression, just for mental health. And I've actually been partaking of some microdosing and some
what is microdosing?
So it's taking small doses of plant medicine or anything actually. You can take it in this context, plant medicines. So not to induce a journey, but to support well-being, really.
Right.
So that you're not tripping the whole time. It's not that anyone's
I don't know if you heard it, but as you said, plant medicine, some fireworks went off outside on the street.
Oh.
I don't know if that's connected. Margaret, have you got some feedback on that?
Fireworks quite a lot in the past couple of days. Is it because it's Halloween? Is it because the Guy Fawkes is approaching? I don't know. But on the subject of mental health, and also someone said something which made me think of how long is this going to last? Like, how long is this going to go on for? And it's certainly now that it's like colder, it's winter kind of approaching via autumn, of course, first. I'm feeling. Yeah, I'm feeling quite frustrated and impatient with how long this is going to go on for. And the mask business just kills me. But I wear masks. So.
I mean, have you tried psychedelics? Is that going to help? Is that the answer?
I'd love to, if anybody's got any going.
Okay, so you're willing to try it. It's just more about sourcing them. And there's this concept of microdosing where you just take a little tiny bit. Akbal, can I just say, just because you put your hand up, but the more people that join this, and we're expecting more people, the more it's going to be tricky to work out who wants to talk. So try and use the raised hand function,
good one.
the digital raised hand function, which you can do by just clicking on participants, and there should be a little blue hand there to click on.
Can I just say, yeah?
Laura?
Oh no, no! I just have a friend who's joining me. If that's okay. It's Evelina.
Okay, hi Evelina.
Hiya.
Sorry, I had a question.
The microdosing topic, so I thought I'd jump in.
I'm quite interested.
I'll come to you in a second, Evelina. But Akbal is first in the queue, so I'll come to you in a second.
I'm quite interested in the microdosing in terms of how much is a microdose, how much is a normal dose.
Yeah.
How do you establish that?
Have you tried microdosing?
I've never tried it, no.
Okay.
There's lots of good stuff online.
Is it all there online?
Yeah, lots of really good forums. I mean, there's so much research. There's official research happening. There's lots of really good forums, groups that people are sharing information in. Yeah.
Okay, so it's all there. You just need to Google it. Maybe you could Google it now, Akbal, and find out what is a microdose, and maybe come back to us with some more.
Depends on the item, I guess, doesn't it?
Say again?
It depends on the drug of choice.
Yeah. Medicine.
Okay, drug, medicine, depends on what you're going to take. Della, you look anxious to come back in, but Evelina, do you want to just say what we're going to say?
No, I was just saying hello, really.
Oh, hello. Have you got any opinions on microdosing or?
Not really, no.
No? Have you tried it?
No, never.
Are you interested in trying it?
Don't know. Depends on how my depression goes this season.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, we're looking at a long, cold winter. That's what Margot said. Yeah. How are we going to get over it? Josephine said microdosing of psychedelics is the answer. It's got a little bit of traction, but there are some questions about... you got a thumbs up from Gillian as well. Diane, I've noticed on the chat, is going to eat, so bon appetit. I don't know if you're going to have any mushrooms with your family dinner, but come in later on. We're gonna be here all night. So so come later on. Where are we going to go with this? Do we want to talk about? I guess from Akbal, your point of view, it's about safety, maybe a little bit, or do we want to talk about the mental health side of this? Do we want to talk about psychedelics? Do we want to talk about the legal side? It's up to you. Where do you want to go with this conversation? Gillian.
That's a brilliant backdrop there.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Hang on, let me just go to Gillian because she's not said anything yet. Welcome, Gillian.
Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm kind of an expert about this.
Really?
So, yeah, I am, absolutely. And I could I could talk a lot about it, but okay, I'm not advocating. This is because I know the government is listening. I'm not advocating the use of illegal drugs, okay, at all. However, being kind of spending a very long period of my life from about 16 years old, actually investigating the metaphysics of the psychedelic, and I'm actually really serious here. I've got a lot of information. I don't think my personal experience is that the psychedelic things themselves are in any way dangerous. However, people can be self-destructive. And so you have to, the thing itself is fine, but it is like anything. It's like, I don't know how to use power tools. So if I pick up a chainsaw and I run at a tree, I'm much more likely to cut off my own arm than I am to cut down the tree, right? So I think that's also the same with things like psychedelics, so they're very powerful. And if you learn to use them properly, which means reading the right stuff and being with the right people and being in the right frame of mind, I think they would be very useful. And I think that I've been actually thinking that it is a good time because we are quite isolated. Most of us have been doing a lot of introspection. This actually might be a good time certainly for me and maybe for others to actually maybe consider it.
You say they're very powerful, like a chainsaw, but in what way are they powerful?
Okay, I wouldn't say as powerful as a chainsaw.
More like a sander.
But, okay, I can say I'm scared of power tools, right? So for me, but for somebody who's never done it, I think it could be quite overwhelming. The thing is that the power is kind of in your expectation as well. So you might be fearing the experience, and so you auto confirm your fear, if you see what I mean. I think that there's a certain amount of preparation that anybody can do, and I think there's a lot of information out there. I think you do have to be in the right space, and you don't do it for a laugh, because I don't think that's really a good thing.
Okay, so it's not for a laugh, but I still am not really clear about what you can achieve with these psychedelics.
Okay.
But I'll come back to you on that one, because Katie's got her hand up. I'll come back to you on that. Katie, come in on this.
Okay. I thought I'll stay quiet, but everyone's talking, which makes it a bit more brave. I had a serious depression, been on the brink of suicide twice, and thanks to psychedelics for the last 3 years, I've been the happiest person in my life. So it's insanely powerful, but trying to explain what it is to a person, like without experiencing it, is like trying to explain a taste of a fruit to a person who has never tried it. You can spend hours and hours comparing it to something else, but it's just not it. Honestly, like I had some friends who, one of my friends tried microdosing and it did help. And I haven't tried microdosing because I don't know. I think I have fairly high tolerance in general, but it was like I never imagined that I could fix all my mental issues that dragged with me for over 2 decades in one night. So yes, I think it's much more powerful than power tools, to be honest.
Okay, more powerful than the power tool. We're talking about psychedelics. We've got some new faces outside, so that's quite exciting for me. And is Talkaoke more powerful than a power tool? Let's bring in the outside perspective. Who have we got here? Is there anything at this point, or is it?
We were just musing on. We're talking about psychedelics. And somebody, not me, at this table, has got some experience of that. What are your thoughts on this, Edon?
I mean, well, let me just sort of add to that, because what people are saying is that actually, because we started off talking about the mental health cost of the pandemic, and we started off talking about, how to deal with that. And Josephine, I'm going to name names, said psychedelics are a good idea, but then it turns out there's a lot of traction in this idea of using psychedelics as a way of dealing with depression, with anxiety. No one's really talked about having fun, but maybe it's that too. I don't know. But and this idea of microdosing, which is just having tiny amounts of the stuff.
Can I just say, oh, sorry, I should just also put a disclaimer there also, because of course, public broadcast, I'm just, just to say,
It
not
works for you.
advocating, I'm not admitting anything
Yeah.
specific, I'm just hypothesizing and, you know, citing things that we know from
Okay, so this is more down to your experience of talking to other people, not necessarily yourself.
100%.
Yeah. Okay, right. So that's what
I
we're
read
talking
about it. I read about it on the internet.
Yeah. That's what we're talking about right here. If there's any views from outside, do just come in on that one. So where are we going to go with that? Dele, what does this chat about psychedelics say to you? Is it where you expected the conversation to go?
Absolutely not so, but I've got a mental health diagnosis myself. I'm schizophrenia.
Yeah.
And I am actually very petrified about the psychedelics because but living with that condition just now is like, especially with the current times, it's like, how do I live my life normally?
Yeah.
Medications help. Yeah, they're trying their best. And I found solace in something else. I found solace in writing. So that helps me deal with my psychosis and divorce.
Yeah, so in a way, that's quite a scary approach to the idea of mental health.
Absolutely so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Does anyone have any experience of that? Can you use psychedelics with schizophrenia? Is that something that anyone knows about? Are there other things that you can try? What about those? And I think the important thing here, Deli, is that, you know, we started off this conversation talking about looking after ourselves, meaning everybody. And, you know, what about those people that maybe are reluctant for good reason to try psychedelic treatments? Anyone going to respond to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there is, I mean, a part of what I was talking about is that, you know, there is a lot of research being done in, so it's psychedelic assisted and supported therapies, which is where people go through a therapeutic process with the support of a particular kind. It might be MDMA, it might be psilocybin, it might be ayahuasca, it might be peyote, it might be all sorts of different things. There are many different medicines that are available. And if people are sensitive, or if they have like a pre-existing condition, we all have pre-existing conditions, but there can be, you know, people are feeling worried, then it's really advisable to do it with somebody who can support them and supervise them. And if something, you know, happens that where they're not feeling comfortable, that they can know that there's somebody there who will help them to guide them through. I mean, traditionally, when these medicines have been used in cultures since kind of time immemorial, and have been used in ceremonial spaces.
So in a way, what I'm going to say is there's lots of different drugs out there that could be used.
Yeah.
But I guess we need more knowledge about it, is really where.
Well, there is actually already lots of knowledge about it. I mean, people, you know, there are lots of traditions that have been using them and can easily say, not everybody, not all cultures. So what Dele is experiencing is what our culture calls schizophrenia. Other cultures have a different word and name for it, a way of understanding it, and would also have an intricate knowledge of which plants would support people in that kind of situation, and which plants, you know, which experiences wouldn't, you know, might not be so helpful. So it's really about, and we're kind of losing some of that knowledge in lots of ways with the traditional knowledge that's being lost. And and then there are also new, you know, there are new modalities that are being developed. So, yeah, but to be, like my sister took, she drank datura at school when she was like 14 or something. So datura, if anyone who doesn't know, is like a very white, it's a white, it looks like an angel's trumpet. It's triangular, like a upside down pyramid, very, very strong, potent medicine plant to be treated with like the utmost respect. And she actually has never really been the same. She's been very unwell, has very complex mental health and physical problems, which may be separate, I don't know, but there are, you know, if you read about datura, there are warnings that this kind of thing can happen. And certainly the picture that I have with my sister who is kind of housebound and very unwell and in chronic pain and things, could be related to that experience. We don't know.
Right.
And she did it on her own. So she just was 14, cooked up the stuff in Adelaide, in South Australia, drank a massive mug of like very strong medicine, and it took like 8 men to hold her down when she was having a
wow.
Very intense.
Yeah, so I think in a way it might be a crude analogy, but powerful, like a power tool. I think still kind of it resonates, and that is the thing. Is these are powerful tools. Okay, what's happening outside? Oh, come in. So where do we want to go with this conversation? It's kind of up to you. That's the way Talkaoke works. Hello, Simon. Have you got your hand up just to say hello, or have you got a point to make?
Yeah, I'm. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, my phone's not working, so now I'm on the pooter. I went to Breaking Convention once, which was super interesting. Yeah, and for me, it wasn't even about any substances. It was actually about all the ideas, because it's full of people that were like some of the stuff you were hearing it and you're like, yeah, that'll be mainstream in about 5 or 10 years. But at the moment, it's too out there. And so it has to be. And some of it was politically dangerous as well. It's like, oh, we can't have this. It threatens the system. We can't have people thinking too much, or we can't have people kind of, connecting on a global level. We've got systems and wars and consumers and all that sort of stuff to keep going. So it was super interesting. And I was dying to Prima she said the whole Beats thing in the 60s, like the whole San Francisco thing, the scene, none of that could have happened without psychedelics. But it's just such a shame that, for example, they're using MDMA to treat people with PTSD. It's just such a shame
what's PTSD?
Post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah.
It's such a shame that lots of people could be helped, but we can't even have that conversation. We can't even discuss it because it's not allowed. Yeah, you can go to the pub and fill yourself with legal drugs all day and get into a state where your liver is useless to you and you can get into a fight and stuff like that, and then it'll just be high spirits.
100%.
Yeah.
So, do we need to have this conversation? Is it like we've got David has just joined us. Either I think is acceptable to him from previous Talkaokes, but at the moment we started off talking about our mental health and helping each other. Then we went on to this question of psychedelics and other kinds of let's call it mind-altering substances, drugs, medicines, whatever you want to call it, and their use in being able to treat out. We're all getting strung out. We're all getting anxious. We're all getting a little bit concerned, maybe depressed. We've got all these mental health issues. Thank you, Simon, for the waving the fingers. I'm gonna. Anyway, are they useful? Is it time to have a wider conversation about this? Is it time to? We've actually taken this conversation out onto the street, and we've actually got someone out on the street as well now. So let's just to test the microphones. Just tell us your name and just come in. You may not have an opinion about psychedelic drugs and their use for mental health issues, but just say your name and say hello.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? I'm Zoe.
Can people hear? Yeah, there's some nodding, some general nodding, yeah.
Great.
So that's what we're talking about at the moment for those people who have just come out. Hopefully you caught that, Evie, as well. David, you want to come straight in? Well, let me just go to Katie first, and I'll come to you, David, and then we'll go from there. Katie.
I was literally about to suggest a turning of the topic. Not sure if we exhausted this one because it's very big, but indeed it is a very dangerous thing and may not be for everyone, at the very least until more research is done and we know better how to do it the right way. Because you can read many experiences, but one thing what we find is that they're very individual. They're very often unique. And there is no one single way of doing it that will work. It's kind of difficult. So another thing which I think in this period is very important is and it doesn't involve any medicines or anything else, and is, in my opinion, quite free. Apart from our time, is talking to each other and being there for each other as much as possible. And because recently I have a friend who is in a situation where she cannot even think about any of those things. She has two serious issues.
Yeah.
And it was such a point that when the lockdown started, many of her friends went away. Others stopped communicating, and she ended up, feeling very lonely. So it's not something, fixable with medicine or anything. It's where kind of our communal support is needed, where we support each other. And I think very often it's like, even now people seem to still be looking for issues to get divided about. Before was Brexit, before that was something else. Now it's masks and parties, and it's like there is always a division point, and bridging that, trying to find a common ground, I think is very difficult. But something what we could do with friends and such. I think we should try talking more. Like, this show is amazing. I love it.
Yeah, so medicine can't cure loneliness is basically the main point there. And
hopefully
how
we'll never be able to do it.
But if I could jump a little bit with what Katie was saying and Josephine before that, like the, medicine, microdosing, whatever we talk about, it's all a tool that we use in therapy or to help ourselves, but it's not actual solution. And what interests me when we talk about mental health is what we can do to actually support it and make it stronger in a more natural and sustainable way. That's like for me super important, and it's all about like one thing, connecting with people and building your supporting community that you can rely on, and the other thing is like what you can do by yourself for yourself to make yourself stronger from a mental health perspective.
Okay, there's a lot of hands up, but I also want to involve the people outside. Is it loud enough out there, Rick? Can you just maybe turn up the volume on the Roland? It's fine. Okay. I just want to bring in the people that are out on the street as well, because you're very important to this too. So, what do people on the street think about this? And what we're talking about? The mental health stresses of lockdown, of the year that we've been through, but we're also talking about like, how do we deal with that? And we talked a lot about psychedelics, but now we're actually talking about actually connecting with people and how important that is. So let's just go to the people outside and see what they've got to say.
Too busy connecting with each other to chat.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
okay, Margot?
The mental health, training twice a week, getting outside of the house, embracing we're inside and just trying to cope with it. So if you can have something outside, that you're even going for a walk or like meeting different people, chatting with somebody else, it's going to give you so much benefit.
So get outside a bit more is what you're saying.
You need to, just don't look at the wall anymore, come outside.
Yeah.
I mean, what about this question that Katie raised about how important it is to connect with people? Are we connecting enough? And, where we're all kind of forced to be separate from each other, are there ways to actually connect better? Or, what's the answer to that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. There are, I mean, since the lockdown, I mean, everyone's been in their apartments, flats, houses, whatever. And the normal socialising that you would do if you were going to work, if things were normal, even interacting with people on the subways, the trains, going out for lunch, having your dinner break, we don't do these things anymore. So it's so important not to fall into that kind of it's a false. I could,
You like a silo. You're locking yourself into a room.
Yeah.
You get comfortable. You can get comfortable. You know, you get into a false.
Yeah, and you go into yourself in a way.
Yeah, and you know, you take that as a new normal, but it's not. You know.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, if it is, it's a dangerous normal, I suppose.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Zoom with all the things that we've got, team. It's just forcing yourself to probably as well upskill yourself on the computer, get in touch with people. And I do a list of the people I'm going to call every day, and then just do it every day. And then it's like, right, tomorrow I haven't spoke to Auntie Anne, speak to Auntie Anne, because otherwise I would go silent. I know what I'm like. I'd go into silence. So just do a list of things to do for the day. And now I'm going to go and shower.
All right,
we'll give you. I really like this idea, especially the people to contact. Well, thanks so much for stopping by, Natalie and Daryl. We're here every day, actually. And we've got another new face around the table. Did you have any views? You make a list of people to contact on daily basis. What's your name, by the way?
Babu.
Hi, Babu. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you. I don't make a list, but I do think it's worth sort of stretching yourself and challenging yourself so that, you just sort of remember where you are, because I think it's quite easy to get kind of quite sort of in a certain frame of mind and sort of not see your way out of it. So I would definitely say, like, try and find things that sort of are a challenge or a bit of a different experience.
So a bit of challenge.
Give yourself a bit of challenge. Okay, some very practical suggestions coming from outside. What do people say on you web people? What do you say? I just noticed that Evie has joined us as well. Katie, you've got your hand up again.
Sorry, just before that, I just wanted to connect like something what we can do, something we can help with each other with. And I think at the end of the day, it's when successful, that's what the medicines we talked about do. I think that we get a lot of, maybe not all, but majority of mental health issues come from various fears, where we are fearful about the future, or something else. And from what I have experienced, it's just a little bit more of understanding needed to remove that fear.
Yeah.
So maybe that's something we can help each other to and this period when we kind of stay separate, I think is a great time to reflect on our own fears, on what we are afraid of. Because I know some people used to travel around the world just not to have a relationship because they're afraid of it, for example. Or something else, because very often people tend to run away from their fears, ignore, pretend it's not there, instead of just facing, conquering, and then living a happy life.
So this moment now in history where we've got this very unusual situation, it might be a chance for us to face our fears.
I think that in any trouble there lies always a great opportunity, and in this period, I think it's a great time for that.
Okay, Simon's holding up a carrot.
I've also got a tangerine as well. I'm staying with the theme tonight. Yeah.
Yeah. Orange. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally want to echo that. Because on lockdown, I had loads of time to think, and then weirdly, stuff started coming up from a long time ago. But then I talked to other people, and they were having the same experience. Yeah. And it was like, wow, all this stuff that you normally don't have time to think about when you've got the time. And actually, it's been like super useful. It's helped me to kind of process a few things that otherwise would have stayed in the box. So actually, I'm probably, ironically, in better health mentally than I was at the start, which is not to say that obviously that it's not tough. And like everyone else, I'm a little bit anxious about what's coming next and the winter, because obviously it's a lot easier to kind of like chill out and like meditate and all that sort of thing in the summer. But I think this is where we're all going to get really tested, is the dark nights when the furlough ends, and all that kind of thing. But which is why this is a great opportunity to get some positivity and to connect and to not feel alone, to break out of our little silos. These carrots represent the silo, right? And then this tangerine is coming out of the silo and it's meeting the other tangerines. And that's what's happening in this space right now.
Okay, well, that's good. I like your tangerine metaphor. Some people might be slightly concerned about it. Are we already, I feel like we're at the top of a roller coaster, all of us together, and we're kind of just getting ready to go down to this, to whatever it is, the winter, and whatever we've got to face ahead of us. And I think in a way, we're getting some really interesting insights. Evie, you want to come in on this?
Yeah, I was. I don't know whether my hello everyone. If my internet is crap, I apologise. I was wondering when you're talking about the feel like you're about to go down on a roller coaster. I definitely agree and echo that feeling. But I was wondering whether it's that thing of the not knowing or the not being able to plan. Like if I was told by the government, look, you really probably won't be able to go. You might have to stay with your current household for Christmas. You can't go and see your family. Then I've got time to mentally prepare and be like, okay, that this is what's happening. And if it's like, you know what, to get through this winter, we are going to have to lock down. We are going to have to go through this. It's going to be really tough and it's going to be really economically damaging. But people have time maybe to plan a bit more than they did before. I still don't necessarily think it's still going to hurt a lot of people, but you still have that certainty, whereas at the moment we have this uncertainty.
Okay, so it's the uncertainty you don't like. I would also ask, and this doesn't just go to Evie, how would you plan it if you knew what was going on? Because I have to say that's not necessarily clear to me, but what kind of things would you plan? But okay, where are we going to go with this? Oh, Rick's put us on a roller coaster. That is very kind of appropriate graphics there. Anyway, so where are we going to go with this apart from down? Because it seems like that's what's happening on the graphics. But, where do you want to go with this? Do we want to talk about the uncertainty? Do we want to talk? Yeah, Simon, you want to come in again? Yep.
Yeah, just to say that you're going to say, is it is the only way down? I sat in on the NHS mental health presentation, and it's really useful because like we're doing now, you basically kind of watched it and then you went like, oh, so all the stuff I was feeling is like totally normal and everyone else is feeling the same stuff, and actually it's to be expected, and it kind of showed you the cycle, and it said like you'll have up weeks but then you'll have down weeks. But the good thing about that is like, oh, right, so it's totally normal. And also as well, it was like, yeah, you'll have some sort of weeks when you're low, but you'll also have like really positive weeks as well. So you know what? It's okay. You're not going crazy. You're just like so many other people. It's okay.
Okay, we've got some chat from outside. Gillian, I see you've got your hand up, but I just want to bring in Zoe because she's not really said anything yet. So I'll come to you in a second. But let's bring in Zoe on mic 4. Go on.
Hey, everyone. One thing that I think I've felt over this time that's the opposite of a roller coaster is kind of the beauty of being able to pause. And when you're on a roller coaster, when you are like fully in your job and in your life and living in London or a big city or wherever, I feel like I'm constantly going up and down and up and down and having these crazy rides. But right at the start of the pandemic, I felt like I was finally able to maybe get off the roller coaster, or like at least I was kind of suspended on one of those roller coasters where they hang you above the drop. But even that was okay because I felt like I finally had time to take a breath and kind of reevaluate. And that weirdly felt a lot like a luxury. So one of the things I'm hoping for when we get out of this is that the roller coasters we're on have more of those pauses in them, and that we can use that more. And I kind of wonder if other people felt similarly, or if I was just really lucky to feel that way and actually no one else has felt that kind of pause as being such a positive thing.
Okay, well, we're going to find out. We're going to put that through to the panel, both here, but also it's weird because I'm seeing you on the screen. I can see you here as well. Like I know we devised this, but we're still coming to terms with this. Anyway, what do people think? Was that there's a bit of a pause going on? Let me come to Gillian though, because you've had your hand up for a while, and then we'll ask people. Yeah. Gillian?
Okay, I'm going to be really honest here. I actually enjoyed the first lockdown because it was so unexpected to suddenly see everything coming to a stop, and as you know, as people have pointed out, it was spring and then summer, and I actually relished the opportunity to just sort of be a bit introspective and spend a lot of time with myself. I mean, I also live with friends, so I wasn't completely alone. I understand it's a lot harder if you're on your own. But although I was surprisingly not creative at all, which I usually am, and I wasn't, but I felt that actually the whole experience was quite positive. However, I'm actually starting to extremely panic about the winter because I don't like winter anyway. And so I feel actually really panicky to the point I'm actually really seriously thinking about getting out of the country. And while I still can, I'm thinking about going to Egypt. Right. And just go there and just sit there because I don't speak the language, so I don't even want to be able to read the news. I'll just sit there and wait this thing out. That's my thought. I haven't bought the ticket yet, but I'm thinking about it.
Interesting. Okay, so just escape the country. Is it going to be the time of doom? That's. I mean, I know that's exaggerating, but that's my job to sometimes spin things out a little bit. Is it going to be the time of doom? The winter? Is Gillian right to jump ship from this country? What about the pause that people have had and that time for self-reflection? And well, I mean, we've addressed this a bit earlier on as well. It's like there is also the time for self-reflection. Margot, did you want to come in on this? Hang on, let me just turn up your mic. This one, yeah, go on.
Yeah, I'm just observing what's happening on the chat as well, and it all kind of started with Evie saying, "Hello, man on a motorbike." With Evie saying, you know, more furlough and more free school meals. And then we started talking about, you know, maybe reducing numbers of days in a week where people work, and that should be enough to survive on. And then, you know, Simon's calling this country absurd for how the goods aren't, you know, the wealth isn't evenly distributed. And Katie agrees. And also, it's being called a communist a bad thing. These are the things coming through on the chat.
Yeah.
But yeah, or maybe your right way of doing capitalism is the way forward. Maybe we don't have to be communist.
Okay, so we're getting a bit political with it. I will say, people out there, but also people online, it's up to you where you want to take this discussion. Do we want to go political now? Do we want to start talking about UBI? Whatever that is, we'll find out. Do we want to start talking about more about this introspection that Zoe mentioned? Do we want to talk more about you know, leaving the country, getting out of here, winter's coming, as they said on a famous TV. It's up to you to decide where you want to go. It's not, my job is just simply to do what I'm doing now, sum up what people, you want to talk about UBI. So people outside, what are they talking about out there, Margot?
We're just welcoming a new face to the table.
Okay. Well, that's good news. But it doesn't help us where we want to go. Josephine, you seem to be saying stuff, but we can't hear you at all. Yeah,
oh, really?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, great. My top, my top tip for winter is an SAD lamp.
Yeah.
It is really, I find really helpful. I'm Australian. I have a pretty difficult time with dark and cold. And, but yeah, my SAD lamp is fabulous. And I really recommend getting your hot little hands on one. They're so great. And also,
what is an SAD lamp?
It's a seasonal.
Is that it there?
This is it. It's a fairy SAD.
Yeah, well, go on. Sorry, I had to do the sound effect. Every time I see a cat, I've got to do that. But anyway, what's an SAD lamp?
It's a seasonal affective disorder lamp.
Right.
And it's about this big. Yeah. And you, hold on, let me show you. Hold on. It's right here. Oh, where's it gone? Oh, no. I thought it was here. It's not. But it's about this big, and you plug it in and it blasts like 10,000 lux of light into your eyeballs, and it makes you feel like you're in Darwin. And it's great. And I just have it on the table all day. You're only supposed to have it on for like 15 minutes a day, and I have it on all day. And, you know, it's great. I recommend it.
Okay, so an SAD lamp, we've got some practical suggestions here. We've got a kind of a couple of... they could be called SAD lamps. They're really bright, and I tend to have them on all day, every day, even though we only do this every few days.
Yeah.
You probably can't. You can probably see that on this screen if I build it up a little bit.
Mine looks like. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Okay, so practical suggestions. We've got some more faces outside. We're talking about how to get through the winter. Is the answer psychedelics? Is it introspection? Is it reaching out to people? Is it planning? These are all some of the things. Is it moving to Egypt? These are some of the suggestions how to get through the winter. What do the people outside think? And are we offering these people outside drinks as well? Because I went to shop to get a whole load of drinks, and we might as well, Margot, are you doing that? Okay, anyway, Dan, well, we don't know your name yet, so come on, person out there, what's your name?
Danny.
Danny, welcome. Have you got any thoughts on this, how to get through the winter?
Yeah, just hibernate.
Hibernate, is that the answer?
Spring, and you'll be up and jolly for the next year.
Yeah, okay, so just get under the duvet, basically.
Yeah. Just store as much fat as you can.
Yeah.
Keep it off, drink it off, and then you'll be awake for the spring.
When are you going to set your alarm for?
St. Patrick's Day, 7th of March.
Okay, so just get under the duvet, set your alarm for St. Patrick's Day. That's Danny's advice. I think we'll give that definitely, or maybe we'll even give it a... Anyway, okay, so is that the way to do things, people? And this is turning into a little bit of an advice session, how to get through the winter. We've got SAD lamp. Oh, there's your microphone there, Ellen. Right, let's introduce Ellen to the conversation. Although we didn't get your name. What's your name? Hang on, let me turn you up. Yeah, go on.
My name's Ellen.
Yeah, hey, Ellen.
Yeah, I think that one thing that keeps me motivated is making sure that I have a nice breakfast. It's always nice when I know I've got a good breakfast to look forward to. So
yeah,
that's what keeps me motivated.
Yeah.
In the winter months, I've also painted my flat some colours that sort of make me feel quite optimistic.
Yeah. What's a good colour?
Well, I've got a really nice sort of green.
Yeah.
It's sort of refreshing, quite light.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I think a good
We've got a green here as well, but you can't see that because we've got the green screen on. Yeah.
It's always good.
Okay, so we're talking about tips to go for it. What is a good breakfast for you?
Well, my favourite breakfast is I make like this chia seed pudding with beetroot, banana, chia seeds, and I make like some banana pancakes. There's no sugar involved.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my favourite breakfast. So I always look forward to that.
Yeah.
In the winter.
Okay, we lost Josephine. She doesn't know the rules that before you leave, you've got to give yourself a final thought. So if anyone else is thinking of bailing out, we need a final thought from you before you go. Anyway, but maybe, yeah, well, there's not much we can do about that now. But anyway, we're talking about tips for getting through the breakfast. Getting through the winter's not, breakfast is a tip for getting through the winter, not winter is a tip for getting through the breakfast. We've got hibernating SAD lamp, psychedelics, introspection, reaching out to other people, all these things. What would you do? What would you do to get through the winter? We've not heard from everyone. Maybe we should just go around and ask everyone. Katie, what's your tip for getting through the winter?
It's one of the magical times when I'm finding through search a ton of great and very happy news. I think many people miss them because usually they're not on the mainstream media. Yeah. After all, you don't get as many clicks for happy news than you get for tragics. But there are so many things happening in the world right now that give me more optimism than anything before. So, like, now I'm much more optimistic about the future than I was 6 months ago, considering things happening in science and sometimes even politics around the world.
Okay, so it's actually about researching the good news.
Yes, I think that, as we talked before, that planning is very complicated because we have no idea how the situation will turn. I think looking at the news and dreaming about the future is a great way to get through the winter.
Okay, all right, so dreaming about the future, that's a nice way to put it. Let's go back to the outside audience there. What do you think about that? People outside? Is it about researching what the good news is and dreaming about the future? That's one suggestion. Akbal, you've not told us how, or David, you've not told us how you're going to get through the winter or your ideas. Laura, neither. So, you're going to come in on this one?
Yeah.
Oh,
My new things is I'm on Twitch and I look at other people playing video games.
Right.
And one of the big thing is I don't know why, but the Blair Witch Project video game version is just very spooky. But I just do like I enjoy the guy who is playing the game and basically reacting, so being spooked out because you look on Twitch, it's like there is one level, you're level out, you're not on the game itself.
Yeah.
But anyway, if you want something more joyful, there is something called Marble, and apparently they spend hours and hours on it. So, but I'm not playing video games too much, but I do like watching other people doing it.
So you're mostly watching other people playing video games. Okay, yes. Who would have thought that would be a good source of entertainment? Okay, let's go. Laura, you're about to jump in there anyway, so... And Evelina as well, I should not forget.
No, I was just like, do these people know like you're watching them playing those video games?
Are they aware, David, are they aware that they're being watched?
They put themselves on Twitch, so but
so it's not like sitting on the tube reading somebody else's newspaper, is it? It's not like that. They're doing it deliberately.
No. Yeah, the guy
on purpose.
Okay.
I think there is an interesting question from Simon in the chat. Like, please share where do you find the good stuff, Katie? I'm quite curious to know.
Oh, you mean the good news? The good news, yeah.
What's the good news now?
Where do you find it?
Okay, well, hang on a sec. We're going to part that because I came to you two, Laura and Evelina. Have you got any tips for getting through the winter?
Oh.
So I have I'm trying to like stay quite active, even though it gets dark quite early and it's cold. So my recommendation that I discovered last winter is actually cold water swimming.
She does that. Yeah. She seriously does that. It's great.
Yeah. Where do you do that?
So you can go to Lido's, but Hampstead Heath Ponds as well, and the waterlands, I think, like in
the wetlands. Yeah, the wetlands. The East Reservoir.
Yeah, there are some like you can do it over there as well, and it's actually it goes well with like the idea of like the subject of the mental health, because I think it also makes you mentally stronger to like get into the cold water.
Okay, so get into the cold water. That's a really good one. We're gonna just definitely reflect. I feel like I know we're gonna go to Katie and find out where she gets her good news from, but I feel like I need to go outside because I feel like outside on the street people are losing focus a little bit there. They're having their own conversation. So my role as a facilitator is to bring those people in and find out what they're talking about and if it relates in any way to what they're saying online. So outside people, what have you been talking about? What are your tips for getting through the winter apart from the duvet? Who's out there even? Because I can't really see. All I can see is a reflection of the SAD lamps. So what's going on outside? What's the word on the street? Quite literally.
I mean, what is the word on the street? Danny, what would you say is the word on the street?
At the minute, it's all that scandal that's happened with the MP or Poplar and Limehouse, where she's scandaled her way up to the housing, and now within the last hour, the anti-Semitism row has just come out, and their name's been pulled into it. Yeah, and actually, I thought that in the talking point, but a lot of people have been talking about it in this area and that. Just,
Babu, who was here just a second ago, he mentioned the MP scandal, and he said something about MP, and I just went like, yeah. But I didn't know that that's what he was referring to.
Yes.
So what happened?
Basically, well, I hate using the word basically. What happened, it was, back in 2016, she had a house just not far from here, with her husband, 2-bedroom house. Next thing you know, she leaves her husband, uses her position in power to get to the top of the housing list and gets a brand new house on Isle of Dogs. Yeah. So, I know. But I'm all for people getting houses, but don't use your
Yeah.
position where you are to get where you are, because that's just, there is a lot of people a lot worse off than her. She's an MP. I'm sure she can afford private rent.
Okay.
And that, because MPs don't have a pay cut. Give it to the NHS staff and the policing and everyone much more better than her, and that, and all she deserves is a clap on the front door. On her full ass.
Okay, so there's some questions. I mean, it's, once again, I will say that people of Talkaoke, it's up to you where you want to go with this. In a way, we're talking about strategies for getting through the winter. Is one of them leaving your husband and getting a new house?
Getting a new husband.
Getting a new husband, is that a strategy for coping with winter? Where do you find the good news? We were going to go to Katie on that one. Where do you actually find good news? It's kind of up to you where you want to take this conversation. Do we want to go a bit more political and talk about all the political machinations that have been happening today? Ellem's coming in on this, so let's go straight to Ellem first of all. Come on, Ellem.
You know what? I think you find good news by switching off the computer, not right now, and just like talking to people in the street, whether that's somebody in the shop, talking to just passers-by, having conversations with real people. That's where you get good news from. That's been my experience of these last couple of months.
Okay, so get the good news from real local people, and don't worry about what's happening on the computer or on the TV. Okay. Okay, well, let's just go straight to Katie and find out where she gets her good news. Oh, hang on a sec. We got something from Danny out there?
No. Sorry? No, I'm going to give me final thought in a minute, because I've got to get back to the pub.
Okay.
I'm in two minds. I've been yo-yoed. But no, final thought, all stay positive over the winter. Keep your thoughts controlled. And in that way you can handle the situation, or the grim situation, what's going to come. So just take the best days as they are, and the worst days as the best.
Okay, I mean,
so you can take it, really.
Is it going to be that bad, the winter? Is it going to be...
It's only as bad as you make it.
Right, okay.
It can be depressing if you're depressed.
I tell you what is really nice, there's a Polish recipe, is a warm beer with cloves and stuff, and it's very good in winter time. I would recommend it as a kind of coping mechanism to anybody who's into beer or hot drinks.
There's a warm beer on me down the pub if anyone wants it.
Okay.
I'm not going to ask how you warmed it up.
We'll join you. We'll join you a bit later on. See you later. Let's give you a round of applause. Let's go straight to Katie. Let's go straight to Katie and find out where she gets her good news from. Katie.
Thank you. Well, I don't have a single source or a single website I could recommend. It's a collection of a number of sources that I monitor every day. And most of the news I'm talking about are actually mostly about science or technology. After all, like our today lives, like even this whole talk is possible through that. So we are where we are because of the technology. The whole society has moved according to it. So I try to look what is happening there. I used to study physics and applied computer science before too, so maybe that has influence as well.
Yeah.
And try to see if this has been discovered or invented today, what can we expect tomorrow?
Right.
Considering that, we had computers and today we can communicate from our homes even during lockdown, which if we had a lockdown, let's say 20, 30 years ago, it wouldn't have been an option to have conversations like this. Yeah. So, and it's actually a combination of some websites, some Twitter handles, some YouTube channels. It's a fairly long list. That's why I'm trying to consolidate it and throw some on my Facebook wall. I don't mind sharing the sources, but the list is fairly big.
Okay, I mean, you've had a look at all of that stuff, but what are the sort of possibilities happening in the future that we could expect?
Well, this year, in the past 6 to 9 months, a lot of science fiction has become reality, and no mainstream media sources have actually reported on any of that. Where now, according to scientists, everything from time travel to teleportation, interstellar travel, and so on is possible. some 10 years ago or so, I may be wrong on this, don't quote me, NASA even made a picture of what future interstellar faster than light travel spaceship would look like. And they said that, we just missed one ingredient. And now there are 2 or 3 physicist groups who have actually found that ingredient.
Right.
So now it's no longer if, it's now has become when. And even though it seems disconnected from the daily lives, many people don't realize how many technologies developed through the space industry have actually entered our daily lives, and we use them all the time, starting with Teflon in our pans, for example. Many of these technologies were developed for different reasons, but they came into our daily lives, and it made them better.
Okay, so interstellar travel could help us get through the winter.
Well, you go somewhere where there is no winter, or where there is no lockdown, or you just live in a spaceship and every day you look at a different star system, for example. Before, I dreamt to live a 500 years lifetime by a miracle so that I could see that happening. Now I know only 20 gonna be enough. So that for me is mind-blowing.
Okay, so the possibilities of technology are very optimistic.
And for example,
things.
even this virus, we get affected because we are biological beings, very easily affected by it. Now scientists are trying to understand the source and consciousness, very controversial topics, maybe even more than politics, yet that mathematicians and so on are trying to nail it down, to figure it out, and to see how we can before there was a Kardashev scale to distinguish between different civilizations, theoretically, now they made a new one where the level of civilization is understood more on how you develop yourself. For example, animals, they don't have any external means for making their life easier. We use clothing, we use buildings, houses, cars, and so on. So in that development, pretty soon, we should come to a point where we don't need to worry not only about this virus, but probably any virus whatsoever. And many even health treatments are coming up, which I never dreamt about. I even myself bought one fairly cheap recently for the skin, which just uses light and mostly nothing else. No creams necessary, nothing more. So many of these technologies coming out, making our life easier, more convenient, where we need to buy less and we enjoy it more. And and it does keep me optimistic about the future.
Okay, so you've certainly got a technologically based optimism there.
Yes, definitely yes.
Gillian, are you wanting to come in there on this one?
No, I just have to ask, does the light thing actually work?
Yes, it does, and there have been about 400 clinical studies done on it, and all have been very successful.
So what is the light thing?
Can you pass it?
Okay, well, Evie's got her hand up. Maybe you can explain.
I will just skip the brand, but it looks pretty much like this.
Right. Okay.
It weighs maybe 150 grams. It's almost a feather, and I had like skin problems which I couldn't resolve for many years, and this works. So
okay.
So and apparently what I found out about this tool, Hollywood stars have used it for about a decade or two. Nobody else knew about it. Before, many of these technologies were available, but they were suppressed. And recently, one of the US senators went on the camera and admitted about scientific and other cover-up last 7 decades. So we can only wonder what is gonna come out more.
Okay, so this is technology that has been kept secret. This, whatever it is, this light stick thing, I have no idea what it is for your face. That's all I know about it.
Not only face, anywhere in the skin. It works for all the skin.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what? I found out yesterday, Mikey. And they're basically, apparently, they're basically the same thing as some people call them plant lamps, because you can actually grow plants with it, or it's called full spectrum light. So it's not actually, if you know about it, it's not actually that much of a sort of surprise. And like people, so yeah, it's good stuff. Apparently, people swear by it.
Okay, so it's just light, basically. but pro spectrum, whatever that means.
Well, to give it a very important point, there is a physicist who has gotten a Nobel Prize for scientifically proving that we are beings of light. Basically, he proved that matter doesn't exist at all. He proved that matter is just a way energy expresses itself. So we are beings of light.
We're all energy. We're beings of light. Okay.
Actually, light.
Okay, so Ellen, you're coming into this one. Have you got? We're talking about skincare and physics here, which is not two subjects that often go together. Should we be regarding our complexion as just an expression of energy, and therefore should be treated using the fundamentals of physics? Are we actually just simply expressions of energy? What do people think about this? And what has it got to do with cosmetics and vitamin D? Where do we want to go with this conversation? Ellen, yep, go on. Let me just turn. Oh, you're up already. Go on, yeah.
No, I always wonder, am I taking the right dosage of vitamin D? Because I take it during the winter months, and I always wonder, am I taking the right dosage?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just a thought.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, have you ever tried this light stick? Are you intrigued?
You know what? I've never tried it before, but I guess I just like to keep my skincare just quite simple, you know?
Keep it simple. What is your skincare regimen?
Just drink loads of water.
Yeah.
And moisturize every day. That's it. Exfoliate once in a while.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. So we've moved on to, we're talking about self-care today, but now we've moved on to more the skin side of self-care. Evie, you've got a point there.
Oh, I thought it was interesting what Katie said about that celebrities maybe have had access to this for like an earlier amount of have had access to it earlier, because it made me think of Kim Kardashian's 40th birthday and the fact that she was able to have like a weekend or a week away on a beach. What do people think about that? I was just like, it just seems to be like there's a rule for normal people, and then there seems to be a rule for celebrities. Okay,
so in a way, it's not only do celebrities get access to, to the physics of skincare, but they also have got access to islands where they can have modest parties. I'm going to come to you in a second, Ellen, but I just want to bring in Akbal because he's not said anything for ages, which is unlike you, really, Akbal.
Yeah, it is. It's very unlike me. I'm
surprised you had nothing to say on the skin. Yeah, go on.
A quick thing about the Kardashian thing. I'm not a follower of it, but I happened to hear something on the news about this. Yeah. Apparently, everybody quarantined for a while and was tested prior to visiting this island. So perhaps she was being responsible, and obviously she's got the money. So why not?
Okay, you think it's acceptable? Would you be there on that island with Kim Kardashian?
I'm not really into. I like the winter. I like the cold. So no, I'm not going to go to some tropical island.
It's a bit too warm.
Really my idea of. Oh, it's my idea of hell. Really, it's not very pleasant. It's humid and disgusting and warm. Anyway, what was the other thing I was going to say? I need to go, but I'll give you my final thought.
Okay, thank you.
And that is, I think that, you've got to make the best of what you're presented with. And, I would love to be going skiing this winter, but it's just not going to be a practical thing to do. So I'll just enjoy watching.
Is it going to be like David? You're going to watch other people skiing?
Do you know what? I've never found that particularly entertaining. I do watch a few YouTubers that snowboard, but they're usually reviews of They do reviews of snowboards and equipment and things like this, which is quite interesting. But I've never really liked watching somebody else doing the thing that I would like to do.
Yeah.
It's not as fulfilling.
Okay, and you can't go. None of the ski resorts are open. Everything's
open. It's just a matter of whether I want to go skiing and then sit at home for 2 weeks afterwards.
Okay, well, that's the issue. Okay, well, we've got a point from outside, Zoe.
Yeah. Anyway,
hang on, let me just turn you up. Hang on, yeah, go.
I just wanted to suggest this thing called roller skiing. I don't know if you've heard about it. They're like giant skis with wheels that you can strap on and use on the pavement, just in London, anywhere you go. So I recommend looking into it. If you can't go real skiing, maybe roller skiing.
Have you tried it, Zoe?
I have tried it. It's really good fun, but very hard.
Okay, so once again, technology solves the problem.
Yeah.
Is it like cross-country skiing?
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's more flat skiing than it is downhill.
Yeah.
I think if you went downhill, you might crash, but you could try it, and you could let me know how it goes.
I've tried mountain boarding, which is like a skateboard.
Yeah.
Big, huge wheels. So that's downhill, as it were. So
they're doing it on the screen right now.
Okay, so you could try that. Technology has the answer once again. Well done, technology.
Anyway, see you guys later.
All right, okay. Thank you, Akbal. Nice to see you.
Bye.
We'll see you either on the next session or in A&E if the mountain boarding, whatever it is, or roller skiing goes wrong. But hopefully we'll see you the last Thursday of next month. And you're getting some fireworks as well. I'll just turn that. That is good. Okay. Anyway, right. So where are we going to go with this conversation? I should say as well that this particular session, that kind of one of the reasons why we do it is to encourage other people to have a go at doing this. So if there's anyone out there that wants to have a go, then you're very welcome. We've got new faces outside as well. So let's just say hello to the new face that we've got here. We're just going to say hello. Hello, what's your name? Say again? Bolu. Okay, at the moment we were talking about how to get through winter, and we had like a million different suggestions, from interstellar space travel through to a big duvet, through to reaching out to other people, to introspection, to just being cold and enjoying it, cold swimming, cold showers, roller skiing, all sorts of different things. But that's the main theme right now. But I'm sure if you just hang on in there and pick up the pieces, something will come to you. But yeah, right now that's what we're talking about. I think anyway, and that's where we are.
Actually, I wanted to ask a question about the fireworks.
Yeah.
Did anybody else hear them? I think they've been going on for a couple of days now.
Yeah.
Do you know what they're celebrating?
Okay. All right. Well, let's put that out there to the panel. What is going on? What are all these fireworks? I don't know if you can hear those fireworks on the internet.
Yeah.
What's it all about? And it seems like if anyone wants to get me another drink, that would be really handy. I'm going to have a Budweiser. That would be really good. I'm stuck here in the table. I'm not just being lazy. Okay, so what are these fireworks all about? Can anyone please explain? David, come in on this one.
Is that an early guide folk night? We got them as well in Ivory. So basically, I think they are just opportunity for teenagers to bang their firework.
Okay, so it's a form of self-expression for teenagers. That's one thing. Something to do with Guy Fawkes. Maybe we could. I don't know how much Guy Fawkes is known about. Evie, do you want to come in on that one as well? What's happening with the fireworks?
They've been happening around me. I'm in South London at the moment.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's just because it's half term.
Yeah.
You can only read some things outside at the moment, and then there are also there are a lot being sold at the moment. Like even if you go to like Poundland, sometimes I think I saw something.
Okay.
So I think people are just with everyone. I wonder whether there's more now because everyone's kind of got a bit stressed about lockdown, and so you just want to let a firework off. That's how I feel.
So in a way, it's also could be a coping mechanism as well. Something to do with Guy Fawkes. I don't know if anyone wants to rehearse the history of that a little bit. I've got a question out there on mic 4. Yeah, go on.
I just wanted to say that by mistake, there are 2 people on this call who are called Margot P, and I know they're not Margot P because that's me. And it's because probably I've sent like a wrong link to them. So I'd encourage the 2 Margot P's at the bottom of the screen.
Okay, I thought that was just you logging in on multiple devices.
No, this is not me. Oh,
Okay, one of them's gone. You've scared one of them away.
But also I just want to say that we've got 2 coders with us. No, 2. Anyway, we've got people who know about digital stuff here.
2 digital people out here as well. We do tend to get a lot on this street, but I just want to say to the one person that seems to be logged in as Margot P, hello, tell us what your name is. We can even rename you so we do know your name. Hello. Do come in. I don't know what your real name is because you're just there as Margot P. You may not be aware of that you are in as Margot P. But anyway, let's just get a final thought from Bolo before you go. What is your strategy for getting through the winter as well? Let's just hear that one. Well, hang on, let me just turn you up. I want to turn up the mic first. Go on.
How do I turn on the mic?
Yeah, no, I've done it.
Oh, okay, I think it's mostly about like being warm. Like, so I turn up the heating.
Yeah.
This kind of helps. So, I mean, I can still have like the summer-like conditions where I'm pretty much shirtless indoors.
Right.
This makes me feel free and happy.
Okay.
So yeah.
So your answer is taking off your shirt, turn up the heating and take off your shirt, basically. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. We'll give you a round of applause. Thanks for joining in. Okay, so where are we going to go with this conversation? I feel like we need fresh blood for the conversation. I don't know where we're going to go with it, but people out there, it's kind of the onus is on you. Those people that know Talkaoke are aware of that. Those who maybe here for the first time may not be aware. The onus is on you to drive the subject area. All I can do is give you clues about what we've talked about so far. We've talked about caring for each other. We've talked about psychedelics. We've talked about mental health. We've talked about how to get through the winter. We've talked about interstellar travel, the belief in technology, some politics, some scandals with MPs. We talked about all these things. We talked about fireworks. It's kind of up to you where we want to take this conversation. Was that just a brush of the hair, Gillian, or was it like a thought about where we might take the conversation?
I wanted to pick up on the issue of fireworks, just to say that I'm Canadian, so obviously I'm probably going to trample on the sensitivities of English people right now. So I apologize in advance. But I find Guy Fawkes a really repulsive and disgusting festival.
Yeah.
Because I just think the idea of celebrating a particularly gross way of executing somebody is, I just can't get my head around it. It's so horrible. And the whole thing was based on religious bigotry. And so I don't know. I could never celebrate it. This time of year, I don't mind Halloween, okay? But Guy Fawkes, when I think about it, it's just like, ugh. That's just my thinking.
So, I mean, just fill us in on some of the historical detail that people may not know. What is this? Okay. What is the religious bigotry?
Okay. I know this because I studied it in history, but after the Reformation in England, which basically England left the Catholic Church and became the Church of England, and then by the 17th century, beginning of the 17th century, there was so much antagonism between Catholic countries and Protestant countries that in England, which it was Britain actually by then, I guess, they started to persecute Catholics. So if you were a Catholic, you had to pay fines and you weren't allowed to do a lot of different things. And so some of the Catholics rebelled, and one of the plots they did was to plot to blow up the Parliament. Okay, fair enough. You're not supposed to do that. Fair enough. So anyway, they got caught.
Yeah.
And the leader of it, Guy Fawkes, was executed.
Yeah.
But they hang hanged Drew and quartered him, which basically means they hanged him until he was like 80% dead. Then they cut him down. Then they ripped open his stomach and pulled his intestines out when he was alive. Then they tied him to 4 horses, and then they pulled him apart while he's still alive until he was dead. And then I don't know what they did with him after that. Well, so that's
maybe
the
whole
story is disgusting. The whole story is sickening, and I understand it belongs in the history book, but I don't want to celebrate that.
Okay.
Period.
All right.
Gross.
Okay. A lot of hands have been raised. I'm going to come to Ellen first, and I'm going to come to you, Simon. Ellen, do you want to come in on this one?
You know, it's really interesting when you break it down like that. It is quite a horrific story, but what I find interesting is how there's so many things that we celebrate that now we realize when we really think about it, it's quite a horrific thing to be celebrating. So, yeah, that's interesting. Actually, it is a good way to be celebrating that.
Okay, so it's quite a horrific way to be celebrated. I just want to say, sorry, do you want to come inside? Because we've got a seat for you here and a mic for you inside, which I've been trying to gesture for the last 1 hour, but it hasn't worked. So I'm just going to say it with my voice. Hopefully Zoe's going to have a go in the middle. So we're talking about this kind of like horrific, bloody kind of execution. Are people thinking about that when they're setting off the fireworks?
There's so many things we celebrate now.
Yeah, go on.
You know, like I was saying before, there's so many things that we celebrate, and but now we're realizing actually it's not such a great thing to be celebrating. So that's another one added to the list, you know. For me,
Okay.
anyway,
What are some of the other things you think it's a bit weird that we're celebrating?
Let me think. Oh yeah, well, you know, Thanksgiving. That's in recent years where people have been questioning, you know, is it good to be celebrating this? So yeah, and I think some of the Native Americans and they rename, like they kind of named something else, but yeah, it's just it's just interesting. You know, it's good to sort of hear other perspectives.
I mean, what is the answer to this? Is it just to forget about these festivals? Is it to come up with new festivals? Is it to sort of like almost have a counter celebration, like instead of Guy Fawkes Night, you have like Catholic Pride or something like that? I don't know if there's any Catholics on the session today, but some thoughts there. So that's an interesting thing. So it's not just Guy Fawkes Night. There's also Thanksgiving as well. Where's that mic noise coming from? Anyway, but Simon, you're getting desperate there. You've got your hand up, and George has joined us back and has now got headphones. And Evie wants to talk as well. So there's a lot of people want to chime in on this one. Simon, you go first.
I went to Lewis a couple of times 1 year, and that was absolutely amazing, right? And they have these massive bonfire societies. They dress up in costumes, and they have banners like saying things like "No popery."
No
and
popery.
Like on the one, yeah, and like you know, I was raised Catholic. I find that a little bit disturbing. But the thing is with Guy Fawkes is like what the official narrative, right? The official narrative is what they're celebrating is. So during that time, Catholicism was associated, rightly or wrongly, with dictatorship and despotism. So supposedly, when Guy Fawkes gets like found out and killed, like this is our big celebration of a failed terrorist plot. When he gets found out and killed, it means that it's supposed to mean that English liberty has triumphed over French or Spanish tyranny.
Okay,
so we're not really celebrating the fact that this guy was killed horrifically. But I'll tell you what's quite interesting, right? I'll tell you an interesting thing, is that some historians now think that the whole thing was either the establishment at least knew it was going on, or the whole thing possibly was even agent provocateur. So the Protestant establishment could turn around and say, see, we told you Catholics are bad, and that's why we need to give them a hard time. Because look what Catholics do. They try to blow up Parliament.
Okay. So there's a lot of kind of different ideas about what this Guy Fawkes Night is about. And we've also got the Thanksgiving thing. It's up to you where you want to take this. Zoe, have you got a point on this one?
Well, I guess one of the trends, as an American especially, one of the
yeah.
trends of all of our holidays seems to be that they've lost.
Just lean in a little bit, Zoe, so that then we can get you on camera. Yeah, yeah. I'm going to try and... Yeah, there we are. You're there. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
One of the trends seems to be that we've lost like any of the original story or the original meaning when it comes to the actual celebrations. My dad's Jewish and my mom's Christian, so on Christmas Day we have like a Christmas tree, and then we go out for Chinese food and a movie, and we kind of like mesh together all of these weird cultures.
Yeah.
And I wonder, I've never kind of figured out if that's a good thing that we've kind of lost the history of it and the real story of it. Like when I moved to the UK, I had no idea what the story of Guy Fawkes. Just absolutely none. I just knew that there were lots of fireworks and that was cool. So should we be kind of exploring that history more, or is it okay to be celebrating these things?
Is it just lost in the mist of time, or the midst of? Is it mist or mist or mist? Mist. Okay, well, there's more controversy coming now. Is it the mist of time or is it the midst of time? Okay. Anyway, lots of controversial stuff. Does it matter what the kind of original story was, because now people just have a baked potato and watch some fireworks. They don't really think about the historical battle between Catholicism, separation from the Roman Catholic Church. They don't think about those things. They just think about the fireworks and the baked potato and really, really cold feet. Go, Ellen. Yeah, go on.
Like following on from what you were saying, maybe we can have the two alongside each other. We can still celebrate, but then also highlight the history and sort of, I kind of have lost my thought, but we can celebrate.
So maybe you can have both going on. Yeah.
A lot of celebrations have become their own thing now. So people are, sure, it's bonfire night, it's Guy Fawkes, but also people just really enjoy the fireworks and the whole coming together. Thanksgiving, that's just one example, but the cooking of the food, families coming together, that's what it is about now. But then also, you can still acknowledge, okay, how did this originate? Perhaps it's not really the best story to have kind of originated. So,
the potato things come through, and that's a hot potato as well. But anyway, we're not going to dwell on the potato thing. Sorry, that's up really loud. I know it shouldn't be up that. Somebody's got a chip on their shoulder, maybe. Yes. Anyway, so where are we going to go with this? Can we have that historical perspective? And also, when it comes to Thanksgiving, can we kind of have people, this is more of an American thing and we don't really do it here, but can we have that kind of family gathering, but also be critical of the, the imperialist past of the Americas? Can we do the same thing at the same time? Can we have our potato and eat it? These are all the questions that are happening. Evie, you've got your hand up.
Is that me? Okay, right, I think there is a danger. There is a lot of danger in stopping loads of those celebrations because they actually bring families together. And as you said, it really is. I don't know. I find it very tricky, but at the same time, we keep on using the term America, referring to the United States, which is actually very wrong because we're talking about the United States of America, and America is 3 continents altogether. Yeah. So there is a lot. I don't know.
So is Thanksgiving just in the United States, or is it in the whole of the Americas?
Is it?
Or more of
them? You tell me. I don't think people in Argentina celebrate Thanksgiving, really.
They don't. In Argentina, they don't. Okay.
I know they don't.
Okay. Gillian, did you want to come in on that one?
We have it in Canada. We had it already. It's the 12th of October.
Okay, so you have a different day in Canada.
Yeah, it's the second Monday in October. I can't remember. It was a couple of weeks ago, and I'm not exactly sure the root of it, but it seems to be just basically based on the old European Harvest Festival. Yeah. And it doesn't have anything to do with pilgrims or any of that American stuff. But we do have turkey and pumpkin pies.
Interesting.
We whack a bit of maple syrup in there.
I'm going to come back to you and asking you about this, the historical question, and can we separate ourselves from the history? But I just noticed that David is on the chat, is talking about final thoughts. So I want to get a vocal final thought from you, David, before you go. Something about
celebrations. Any ideas? Any excuse to have a good drinks with your friends, or just firing some fireworks in the winter time? I do like that, frankly.
Okay, so don't get too hung up on history. Just have a drink and that, and set off some fireworks.
Yes. Every day is a new day. Let's have a party every day. Fun.
Let's have a party every day. All right. So speaking of which, I'm gonna actually exit the table, and we're gonna try out. And I've actually got a socially distanced other headset mic, so you don't have to get close to my spittle. Because I thought about this already. So just stick that on. We're going to have a new face in the middle, other way round, Zoe. That's right, yeah. We're going to have a new face in the table. Are you doing a final thought type thing as well, Ellen? Are you going to stay 5 or 10 minutes just to help out Zoe a little bit? Because it is a complex operation, and I have noted we've not heard a single peep from certain people on this call, such as Stephen, George, and Juliet. We've not heard from you at all. There's no pressure, but it would be nice to hear from you. But we're going to welcome a new face in the table, very, very, very first time ever. So if you want to climb in the table, and there's going to be all sorts of mic noise and all kinds of crap going on in the meantime, we're going to have a round of applause for you. I'm going to crawl out, but just sit on this and spin your legs around. Well, you're a natural there, I think. Let me just turn down this mic.
Yeah, wow, I look forward to seeing where the conversation goes.
A recap of conversation as you saw it so far, and then remember in the middle, no opinions, no facts. No facts, no opinions, no nothing. It's got to be neutral. Apart from what other people have given. Yeah, I think so. Can we? Oh, hang on a sec.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes. Great. Hi, everyone. This is really exciting. Great. Yeah, I've been listening to the conversation, obviously participating as a table human around the table, all about holidays, celebrations, the kind of historical aspects of it, whether that's a good thing or not a good thing. Also, maple syrup being amazing. I see that on the chat, which I can definitely agree with. Does anyone want to come in on either maple syrup or kind of this idea of holidays versus history? Yeah, Evie, go ahead.
Hello. Well, I love maple syrup, so that's the first thing. But I always thought Guy Fawkes Night was about celebrating rebellion against Parliament. So we'd always burn like a different politician that we disliked that year. And so I always thought of it as like a celebration of Guy Fawkes himself. So I don't know whether that like shows that either history can morph or maybe we can morph our own history. But I wonder if anyone else had that thought, or maybe that's just my family have always like celebrated it the wrong way around. Not that you should necessarily support people who are intending to kill people, but I don't know whether with the blowing up the Parliament, whether they were intending to kill people just the building. That's my thought anyway.
Well, I think you got some thumbs up from Stephen and Simon. Stephen, do you have anything to add?
Only that you can turn any celebration, whatever, you can turn it around any way you like and just have a good time. And you know, we that's what I like about the multiculturalism about London too. You know, there are so many different cultures and religions. There's a festival almost every week. And you don't necessarily have to understand every bit of it. You can just join in, just, you know, celebrate it, really. It's a bit shallow, but that's the way I look at it.
Simon, what about you? Was that just a like or something to add?
Oh, just liking. Like in Lewis, they were actually burning the current politicians as well. So yeah, definitely. I think she was bang on there. There's definitely an anti-authoritarian strand in there too.
So burning politicians is an exciting kind of part of Guy Fawkes Night. Yeah, Margot. Go Go for it.
I really want to like jump in on that conversation of burning things. I've got a burning desire. Basically, because in Poland, I don't know, maybe in other Eastern European countries as well, because it's all the same. I'm joking. That we burn an effigy of winter in spring. I can't remember when that is. Like, I think it's 21st of March, the first official day of spring. And yeah, got some thumbs up there. So yeah, so I always really used to love it as a child. But the problem that I had is where I grew up, there was a very tiny river. It was almost like a sewer, really. So whenever we tried burning anything, it was just like the grass will catch on, and it was all really dangerous. And in the end, we just stopped it because the water just dried out. But I really like it. But people even now just this music really. But people now just still burn things as a sign of some kind of protest. Like why? Why burning like flags and stuff like that? What's that about?
Yeah, burning seems to be everywhere these days, doesn't it? Like, I don't know, as a celebration, also as a protest. Katie, do you want to?
To respond to Margot, I'm from Lithuania, so yeah, we do have pretty much the same celebration, and it's supposed to basically you get rid of winter, and usually before that for a month there is no snow, and after that celebration it starts snowing and it's all winter again, ironically. But I think the reason that people like to burn things is kind of an emotional release when if you have an elected politician, there is nothing you can do about it. You can't change it in the midterm or anything. So this kind of event probably gives some emotional satisfaction that, yeah, I did something for the things I believe in.
Yeah, Laura, you want to?
Yeah, in terms of burning and a little bit of like bonfires and how it looks like here in the UK. So I'm actually from Poland as well, and like for me, like during the winter, I love making bonfires in the snow. So, and here I don't feel like there's many places in London where you can actually have a bonfire. So it's kind of like a childhood memory for me to go in the cold and set a bonfire and then have sausages on their stick or something like that. So I'm actually curious how it looks like here. Maybe someone can tell me, where can I have a bonfire in London?
Margot, do you know, have you had a bonfire in London?
No, but I introduced my boyfriend to Polish bonfires this summer, and he just he loved it. But he's a Londoner, so he's never done it.
Has anyone had a fire in London? Is that?
But we
are
didn't
you
do it in
allowed?
London. This is the thing. But maybe Hackney Marshes, and if that would like pass in Hackney Marshes or somewhere.
Maybe.
Or Epping Forest or somebody's back garden. Anyone now can volunteer their back garden, really.
I've always wanted to make a little fire pit, out of
Can't hear you.
or something like that, and sort of set. I've always wanted to make a little fire pit out of like cement and sort of some charcoal or something like that. So
you don't really
that's
need
something to do this winter. Yeah.
As a ceramicist, I do work with fire, and you just dig a hole and that's it, and the ground, the soil will do the job. It will isolate as long as there's no grass around it. You're good. You don't really need any concrete or anything.
It just does it for you, doesn't it? It's so easy, yeah, Mikey.
Especially in London, everything is sort of built on terracotta, so you're good. Just dig a hole.
Maybe the answer to this whole session of how to get through winter is to set fire to the Houses of Parliament. And then,
that could be it.
Then,
wouldn't be the first
warm our
time.
hands on that for the rest of the winter.
So, can I join in?
But then,
yeah.
But if you set fire to the House of Parliament, how are we going to find out how much money they're spending on their lunches every day? Do you know what I mean? Like, we need to see how much money they've been, just how much of our money they've been spending on their luxuries. So yeah, we shouldn't burn it.
So we kind of need to be preserving what's there in order to find out about it. Yeah, fire seems to be this like really destructive thing. Does everyone think that, or can fire be something that we actually is a positive thing? It seems to be in celebrations all the time, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think it can be.
Oh yeah, Laura, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump with a little bit of a fun fact over here in terms of like cold and heat. So basically, apparently there is no such thing as cold. There is only absence of heat. So I think that's really interesting.
Can you explain that a little more? Because I don't think I understand that.
No, like I'm just saying, like there is no actual such a thing as cold that we feel. So it's only the absence of hot. So it's the same like with colors. So black is not a color; is the absence of color. So
Katie, tell us. You're
Okay, so basically the temperature, what we call heat in physics, is the amount of energy that molecules in a substance have. So there is no upper limit how much energy it can have, but there is a lower limit called absolute zero, which is minus 273.15 degrees Celsius. It's called 0 Kelvin. Kelvins are basically same amount of temperature as Celsius, but they start from absolute zero, not from the point where water turns from liquid to solid and vice versa. So yes, the temperature is always only the amount of energy it has, and the cold is just having less energy.
So what are we, like winter? Does that mean it's just the absence of summer? Is that?
Well, yeah, you could say that, yes.
Yeah. Ellen? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, but I think that's just one of those things, one of those coping mechanisms that we tell ourselves to get through the winter. I think there is such thing as colds, and I think we should acknowledge that, because maybe by not acknowledging it could lead to, many things. I don't know. I guess I'm thinking about homeless people, and I'm sure they're cold. We need to acknowledge that cold exists so we can do things to support maybe people who might be struggling during this time. I know I'm bringing the conversation down, but if you're from the Netherlands, I think I was reading an article written by somebody from the Netherlands about how they cope during winter and stuff like that. Maybe you've got some tips. Oh, but I guess you've shared quite a lot already, but I don't know.
I think Stephen wanted to come in on, is cold made up? That's the question?
I take the point about cold just being a lack of heat. Effectively, we have nerve endings that specifically detect cold, as we have nerve endings that specifically detect heat. So subjectively, we do feel cold. About the that Netherlands thing, I was going to talk about. I mean, the attitude we need to be carrying with us now. If we can only meet outside, we do need to build up, I think, some tolerance to cold. Those of us who are fortunate enough to be living inside, to go outside and subject ourselves, if we can only socialise outside, to get out there and do it. I mean, I'm with a community choir that I used to lead before lockdown, and we've made almost like a commitment to keep doing it through the winter, keep meeting up outside. And I know in the Netherlands they meet outside and they have meals all the way right through the year. I know I think they do build bonfires and things like that. But if we're going to be facing up to the winter and enjoying ourselves and to be social, we need, I think, building up a resistance to cold a bit, getting a bit tough.
Yeah, there's this question: do we embrace the cold? Do we build the fire to keep out the cold? Do we go wild swimming in the cold? What do we do? Which is better? Anyone have an idea about which they would rather do? Would they rather just like fully embrace the cold, or build a massive fire in Parliament and just watch everything burn? I mean, yeah, Margot.
Final thoughts before you go.
Oh, we need your mic.
That's number 3.
Number 3. Go for it.
I would definitely go for burning anything really. Houses of Parliament will do, just something to keep warm. I'm not the person. Somebody recommended to me recently the cold showers thing, which we were talking about earlier. I don't think I'd really struggle. I like to think of myself that better version of me would do it, but I don't think I will do it. So a fireplace for me. But actually, spending time with people is just going to be very difficult this winter, because you kind of have to spend time outside, and it's going to get worse and worse and colder. I mean, rain is bad enough, but like if it's cold and rainy, then we're screwed. So I definitely welcome some kind of, you know, citywide initiative to create like a, you know, I mean, I don't know, some kind of bonfire situations where people can gather. They do it at Christmas, don't they? Sometimes at Christmas markets.
Yeah,
so
Mikey.
maybe we should just do it all the time.
Final thought from Ellen.
Can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
My bad. Yeah, no, I've just got my final thought. Is just that I know we're not meant to be spending time with people, but I don't know. Maybe this is one of the rules we need to break, because I just feel that if you are alone, isolated, you know, it's just going to have such an awful detrimental impact on your mental health being alone. So I definitely feel like, you know, don't publicize it, but like if you are alone, just you know, get a friend to come around. I know this is so controversial, but I honestly think, yeah, it's better to talk to people, you know, communicate with people face to face, socially distance. Of course, you can wear masks, than just be alone. No one knows how long this is going to last, and I worry about the effects it's going to have on people's mental health, isolating by themselves and stuff, you know?
Well, we're talking about celebrating Guy Fawkes and kind of the rebellion of Guy Fawkes Night. You know, is our version of Guy Fawkes rebelling? Is it taking a mask and going to sit inside with someone where it's warm? Should we be celebrating that kind of rebellion? Is that a good thing, or should we just be forcing everyone? Yeah, Mikey.
I think we could have fires, like continual fires burning on street corners. On every street corner, there should be a fire burning. Like, you know, that you get, you know, when people that are old enough, there's not many on this call, to remember the 80s when there was a lot of strikes in the late 70s. Everyone used to stand around with these kind of like metal barrels with fires in them, like rubbing their hands on the metal barrels. Braziers, I think they're called. We should have a brazier on every street corner, and just keep the fire burning and literally have fires going all around the place. I think that would be a huge impact for people.
What do people think? Would you go stand by a brazier with a brazier's a what? What is it again?
It's like this weird metal barrel that, like, I think the only people that use it is like striking miners.
Right.
And they're all gone now, but they just basically get an oil can and like make lots of holes in it and put coals in the oil can and then just set fire to it and then stand around rubbing their hands.
So would people sit near a brazier? Is that an idea people think would be great? Or would you rather go wild swimming? I guess those are our two options for getting through the winter. Anyone got any thoughts on that?
I think the fire will do us. It used to be, historically speaking, in the cold countries, this used to be a very common way just for the public to enjoy, really, or to survive rather than enjoy, maybe. So they would have those weird fire pits, some spread around the towns, just so that people could warm up when they were waiting for their transport or something. So yes, I vote for that. And plus, we can also fire some pots in it. That would be great. Do pottery and get warm.
I agree.
End of speech. Thank you.
Yeah. Is anyone advocating for no fires? People think that actually this is going to go totally out of control. Stephen, yeah?
Yeah, I think we'd run out of fuel pretty quickly if we're going to have on every street corner burning wood. I'm not sure where we're going to get all our wood from. I'm not sure how sustainable it is either.
Yeah. Where do we get all the wood? Do we have to chop down all the trees in London in order to be able to sustain this kind of barrel winter? Evie, did you want to say something?
Yeah, just I think the problem with especially having fires in London is that actually, although we always think that wood smoke is like really clean, it actually produces like a lot of particulates, so basically just like little bits in the air. So it's actually one of the problems. Like it was one of the problems that caused a huge smog in I think it's 1950s, maybe 1940s, in London. Well, the famous like really awful smogs. And it's actually, I think, still a law that you can't have wood fire stoves in London because of this, because it had such a bad effect on the air quality. But kind of like in the last recent years, it's become really fashionable to have a wood fire stove, and like people have forgotten. But it's actually quite bad for air quality. So buy a big coat and get some hot water bottles.
I see we have a few people joining the call. Is anyone who has their camera off want to come in? Do you think fires in London to get through the winter is the best way to do it, or are there other ways that you would recommend getting through this winter? If anyone's on the other end of these mystery humans. But Katie, yeah, you want to jump in?
Well, since the fire thing is going kind of between very cozy and nice and warm, and between kind of both dangerous and harmful, maybe again use technology like cover an area, have infrared lamps, and just hang around there. Technically outside, still warm, and you can socialize with social distancing. Kind of a hybrid of everything.
Right, so kind of the heat burning lamps that exist. How do they work, Katie? I've never understood them.
Heat is infrared radiation. It's a little bit more, let's say, further towards the red if you take the rainbow of the colors. So that electromagnetic frequency we experience as heat. So provided that a lamp is above you, where you stand, you will experience the heat, but it will not be warming all the air in between. So it's much more efficient, yet equally good.
So maybe technology is once again the solution to all of our problems. Yeah, I don't know, that could definitely work. I think this debate about whether or not we can kind of solve our problems by burning it or solve our problems by embracing it is really interesting. Yeah, Mikey.
I always feel, I mean, one of the first things you learn in art school is that you can't, there's no God. Yeah, well, I came to art school feeling that there was no God, but then you've got to destroy to create, basically. So, you know, the fires might be environmentally polluting, but in the end, it's going to lead to greater creativity. Yeah, sometimes you've got to break things down to build them up again.
But also there is alternatives, like if you don't want to buy wood logs, and it's like there are eco logs that you can get that are made just of the offcuts, which are technically a waste, and then they are, you know, you can make them back into a little log and turn them into fire eventually. So we don't necessarily talking cutting wood, cutting trees and, you know, getting wood out of that. There is alternatives to that as well.
Destroying to create seems to be, destroying Parliament to create a new system was, I think, Guy Fawkes's idea, and maybe is that something that we think is successful? Does that work? I mean, what do you guys want to talk about? Do you want to talk about fire pits across London, or do you want to talk about this idea that destruction births creativity or something new?
I would like to be on the opposite side to the burning and heat and embrace the colderness if I can. It just, probably, I don't know if you guys heard about the Wim Hof method, when you like focus on your breathing and you actually like try to like just basically survive in the cold.
Is Wim Hof a person or a thing?
Sorry, the Wim Hof method.
Is it a
person?
person?
He's the person.
Okay.
He's this like crazy elderly guy. I mean, crazy. He's amazing, but he jumps into the ice water and swims there for like 20 minutes, and then he has like this whole method that he shares with other people of like how to own your own body and not let the cold stop you doing things, and like actually become not only physically but also mentally stronger. And he has this like opinion that basically with the cold it's a lot depends on the strength of your mind, so you actually can train yourself to feel less cold, if that makes any sense. It's really interesting, actually. I do recommend reading or like searching him if you guys are interested. But that's on the, embracing the colorness side.
Well, we know cold is real, even if heat isn't, right, Katie?
Well, heat is real, and talking about people who conquer the cold, so to say, I know that in Tibet, I'm not sure whether it's an exercise or whether it's a test for some of the monks, but they take these wet blankets and they're very high in the mountains. It's really cold, and they have to dry them with just their body heat. And some can dry like 3, 4, 5 thick, full of water blankets in freezing cold, just by controlling their own body. I think our self-control is one thing which we have neglected for so long, so badly, that we have no idea what we're capable of. And there are some people who try to show it, but we admire them, but we never feel like trying for some reason.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. I'm so glad you can explain what I meant.
No, I just wanted to say, I think to a large extent, like what we consider to be the right temperature is socially conditioned, so it's just what we're used to. But we actually...
Can't hear you, Mikey.
Oh. How about now? Whoa. How about now? Is that better? What we can endure in terms of temperature is actually a greater range, both in terms of being hotter and being colder than what we're used to. That's socially conditioned. We just learn to accept what is the right temperature for us.
So we just feel what's right, and then that is how it works?
Yeah, it's what we're used to, basically.
Right.
Nobody wants to leave the comfort zone.
Exactly.
Exactly. And so I guess this kind of cold Wim Hof method, is that about leaving your comfort zone? Is that about forcing yourself to kind of do something different?
Yeah, in a sense, I think it's about like going over your limits that in your head that you think you cannot pass, but actually, like Katie said, you're capable of so much more. You're just not aware because you've never actually like tried to train yourself. I'm sorry, I'm laughing at the background.
It's the backdrop. Taking this opportunity, I would really like to thank the person who manages the green screen, because honestly, it has been a lot of fun.
That's Rick. That's Rick. Well done, Rick.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Rick. Brilliant.
We also want to say, obviously, we're very open kind of practice here, and if you want to provide something to go on the green screen, you're very welcome to do that.
Okay.
I just want to link up the Wim Hof thing with the mental health thing, because the reason why Wim Hof got into all of this stuff was because he was overcoming a severe depression, and his way of doing it, just almost instinctively, was to jump into some very cold water. And then through that, he learned to actually, it became a practice for him. So I think that there is something there about self-control, about exposing ourselves to, greater extremes in order to actually somehow overcome our mental difficulties.
Yeah, this idea of pushing across the border of something that's in our minds or in reality, whether that's cold or how we're feeling this day. Maybe that's the way we get through the winter. Maybe that's the way we kind of take care of our mental health. Do people think that that's true? Do people agree with that method? Is that something that people have heard about as kind of a way to get over some sort of mental health blocks or problems?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Can
Katie.
you hear me?
Oh, Deli, yeah. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, sorry, I've not spoken in a while. Yeah, talking about that, this winter, I'm going to be spending a lot of my time writing beautiful poetries, having conversations with the voices in my head, documenting them, and going out for very cold walks outside so I can, get out of the space and then just enjoy myself that way. I'm not too much bothered about the cold. What I'm bothered about is loneliness and self-preservation. But I will be writing a lot of beautiful poetry. And I'll be in great conversations with my voices and tell you all the nasty ones to piss off, basically.
Yeah. Katie, do you want to jump in? And Steven's gotten a like there.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that yes, many of these things where we challenge ourselves. I was very lucky to live in India for 4 years and study there. And there, these things are called just spiritual practices. There is a whole range of them. It's basically something hard you do for the sake that it's hard.
Right.
Kind of. Like you find something which you don't believe you can do and you push yourself until you do it, because that experience where you yourself find out that you can do much more than you believed a while ago is what helps with our mental health. It makes us less fearful. We feel that we are more in control and we can do more.
So if I was like the dog in the green screen, I would just keep going, and that would maybe help me.
Well, there has to be there is a fine line between. You know that there is a saying. There's a fine line between bravery and stupidity.
Okay, yeah. Where do you think that line is? I mean, how do you know where that is?
Well, I think that provided if the danger is not you dying, I think it's possibly acceptable. Again, for each their own. I think it's a very individual thing.
Right. So how far do we push ourselves? How do we know where our limits are? I mean,
how far? It's quite addictive, as I think that person we talked about shows. Once you do it, the feeling is so amazing, you don't want to ever to stop. Like you want to push yourself further and further and further, because that overcoming of obstacles is what gives you satisfaction, adrenaline, sense of achievement, and on all of those good things. But yeah, it's a tricky part. It's best to start slow. For example, when we want to take a cold shower, and we all, let's say for the last 10-20 years, we've been taking hot showers, maybe it's not a good idea and we will catch a cold. But because I used to take cold showers for a long time, then I didn't take cold showers for a very long time, and I decided I missed the feeling. So I would go to a shower, start with warm, and then slowly dial it down and just see how far can I go. Like dial it down, stay for 5 seconds, get used to it, dial a little bit more. There is a very nice line where it kind of rejuvenates you. It makes you feel very energetic. And it's not where it's ridiculously cold. It's still kind of lukewarm.
So you're advocating for a kind of gradual entry into pushing yourself, maybe a gradual step-by-step.
Yeah, I think that solves the danger problem, kind of. Because you take small steps at a time and you consider each step as an achievement, not just the last one. And then you feel much more satisfaction in the process.
What does Wim Hof do? Does he jump right in, or does he kind of like slowly enter the water?
Probably by now he just jumps right in, but like the way that you start the journey is the main question. Maybe if he now can stay 20 minutes, maybe he started with, I don't know, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, and then just slowly work his way up.
Yeah, gradually, definitely. Even now, like when I do cold water swimming at the ponds, like I spoke to the lifeguards over there, and they said like the best way is to like gradually extend your time in the water and like go as slowly as possible and just listen to your body, how it reacts, because the feeling that you get when you get into that really cold water, you can't really explain it to someone and you don't know what to expect. So it is a big shock to your mind and your body, but once you get used to it, you can extend the period and like you get to know your body, how it reacts. So it's a lot about being very present and mindful and aware of your body and your mind, which I think is really important, especially when we talk about mental health and how we can work around it. So
yeah, mindfulness
definitely.
And this kind of connection between mind and body is maybe one of the ways we kind of take care of ourselves or help ourselves in this pandemic.
I agree that I think it's a great time to learn more about spiritual practices, their purpose, and how they work, especially now and during this period.
Margot, outside, did you want to come in?
I was just I was listening to a podcast about Malthus. I'm not sure how to say his name, but he was the one who said that he was talking about the Malthusian nightmare where we just run out of things to eat, I think. Is that the one? Anyway, but he had another like really strange theory, which wasn't scientifically proven, but he was like really proud of it, and that was to do with coldness of like northern European kind of like European regions versus the kind of southern European and further down kind of the people in colder countries, they're more susceptible, they're more prone to come up with like original thoughts or political movements because somehow the climate helps them with that. Whereas if you go to south and warm countries, people are just much more laid back, so they don't feel that call to action. But apparently the cold Europeans do. That was his theory though, not mine. I thought it was quite like interesting.
So the cold kind of pushes us.
Yeah.
We're forced to do something in a way that the warmth doesn't really.
Yeah, like, you know, even for like the emancipation movement and stuff, he was kind of saying, you know, yeah, women in the north, they're much more kind of bossy, not bossy, but like more emancipated, more in control. And women down south are much more kind of like, they mature faster, and they're married off faster, something like that.
So the cold kind of forces us to, I don't know, to confront something or to do something, to take action, because otherwise, we'll just freeze, I guess, if we don't keep moving and keep doing stuff. I mean, it's kind of interesting now in winter is that, or do you think we're going to see all of these amazing ideas and movements coming out of this winter because we'll be forced to be thinking about really, I don't know, interesting big things? Maybe this summer, was everyone kind of just taking naps and going on siesta, or are we now going to be entering some sort of amazing time of creativity, of innovation?
Yeah, I feel like this year is like our cue to do something, you know, revolutionary. I think the Labour Party started already. But, you know, can interpret it in whatever way. So it's a year for big changes.
So big change might come this winter. What do other people think about that? Big change over the winter, or yeah, Katie's nodding.
I mean, I do feel that we are well due some kind of revolution. Sure.
Revolution this winter. Revolution. Anyone else? Anyone want to keep talking about the kind of politics of that? What does that mean to kind of try to make some sort of transformation happen? Or are we happy to talk about the wood that we're going to burn to kind of create all these fire pits around London? Or, yeah, it might be.
Well, I think the two things everything's related, but I think it is related because it's about this kind of, you know, this self-determination that you get from going in the cold water. And effectively, we've got to go in the cold water. I feel as a kind of, you know, a natural kind of Labour Party supporter, I sort of feel like it's time to abandon the Labour Party now and encourage Jeremy Corbyn to form his own party, which is kind of a little bit less corrupted than I feel like the Labour Party has got. But I think that in a way that is a bit like going into the cold water because it's a path of uncertainty and not knowing and initial pain. But I think people need to have that sense of a bit more control and that they're, you know, more in control of their lives than they are right now.
Are other people kind of wanting to take this plunge with Mikey, form a new Labour Party? Is that what we're going to be doing over the winter? Is that what revolution is going to be? Or are we going to kind of more gradually create some sort of change? Anyone want to join the party? No, I don't think you have any takers, actually. No. We're all about
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah, go ahead, Simon.
Just a minor thing, just to point out, there is actually another party, even though it never gets any press coverage. It's called the Green Party. And they've got loads of really well thought out policies on things like minimum wage, the environment, housing, all sorts of stuff. It's just that they never get any coverage from our fixed media system, but they do exist. You know.
George is back with us. George, we're talking about breaking off from the Labour Party and taking a cold plunge to kind of create a revolutionary system. Any thoughts on whether you want to join Mikey in a new kind of Labour Party? Or about cold water swimming? I mean,
wow, yeah, I'm kind of confused. That's like the two concepts at the same time is kind of overwhelming. I'm not quite sure.
Well, sorry, put it. It's just about taking the plunge, basically. Are you ready to take the plunge?
Absolutely. At this point, I think plunge taking is probably one of the best bets there is going.
Yeah, an advocate for plunge taking rather than gradual change, maybe. A plunger.
Call me a plunger. Yeah, a plunger of the night.
Plunge away. Amazing. Anyone else gonna take the plunge? And if you take a plunge, what are you plunging into? I mean, is it an unknown? Is it kind of like anyone have a vision for what that could be?
Well, you know what, like it's if you don't take the plunge, you know, people think, oh, you know, if you don't make a choice, you know, I'm just waiting and seeing, you know. No, you're not. You have made a choice, and that choice is to do nothing. Right.
Right.
So you know, what I'm saying is people very easily like deceive themselves, myself included. I'm talking about myself here, you know, and yeah, don't do that.
So not doing something is in effect a choice. You've made a choice. You've done an action by not doing something.
That is correct. Yeah.
Yeah. People, I see a lot of head nods around here. Katie, you agree forcefully. And there was a thumbs up from Simon. But does anyone think that maybe not doing anything is not doing anything? Is just you just.
So that's just a negative, but also positive argument for plunge taking. So that's really why I'm saying it. So.
Anyone else want to take a plunge into something this winter? Is anyone feeling like?
Yeah, go on. I'll just say something about that. Yeah, I mean, in a way, that's the argument that's been used ever since the French Revolution to say, well, you know, you dreamers and like, you know, people, this is what happens when you try and take the plunge and have a better society. It ends badly. And people have used the French Revolution to encourage people not to take the plunge for like more than 200 years now. And like they were saying, like, you know, that thing of like, oh, it's better to be with something. It might be rubbish, but you know what? At least you know where you are with it. Than like, you know, to take a risk. And I kind of feel like what everyone's getting at is that, you know, you have to be brave and you have to move forward. And like psychologically, when they tell you how to overcome fears and stuff, they always say that the only way to overcome fears is to actually go through them, not to sort of like shrink from them and play it safe, because then you just maintain your small comfort zone and you maintain the power of those fears have you. So I'm saying all this, so like tomorrow I'll just be like, oh, status quo. But tonight I'm feeling powered up by the guys. Yeah, come on, let's do it.
Well, if Guy Fawkes was looking down from his Catholic heaven, and you know, he'd probably be quite pleased that you know we're referencing him in the background with V for Vendetta. We're talking about, you know, the idea of blowing up the Houses of Parliament now. So, you know, his thinking is still current. And even though he failed, in some senses he succeeded because he's embedded into the culture the idea of revolution and the idea of taking over. You know, Anonymous, we just had the vision behind of Anonymous. They're using the V for Vendetta terminology and all of that. It's still there. It's so embedded within the culture now, and I think, yeah, even if you fail, you succeed. If you're bold in these things, by the way, I'm not, and especially spooks out there that are watching this, I'm not advocating violent revolution. I'm just saying that we need to move forward here and actually do something different because, you know, we got a huge economic contraction happening. And that's actually a very destructive thing, but it's also a space for doing something new and different. Still got 15 minutes, but it's time to go into final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Yeah. We're going into final thoughts, apparently. Yeah. And I have never done one of these, so I would just assume that people kind of say their final thoughts and we wrap it up. That's my guess. Great. Does anyone have a final thought they would like to share Starting now.
Maybe the outside people could do a final thought.
Yeah, that would be great.
My final thought is that I would like to hear the people on the outside say something. They're very shy. Okay, go on, and I'll do my final thought. I really enjoyed tonight. I thought it was really good, and yeah, just a very kind of different talkaoke. It just makes me think how things just keep on, going backwards and going forwards, and then well, actually no, they don't stay still at the moment. Everything's just moving around all the time. So yeah. Yeah, we've done a different kind of talkaoke tonight, and I really enjoyed it. And thank you to everybody who came, basically.
Applause.
But that's just my final thought. That's not the end.
I'll say that I enjoyed it as well. We need... Go ahead. I think I got it. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll just say I enjoyed tonight as well, and I enjoyed listening to everyone, and I thought everyone's opinion was valid and interesting, so that's it.
And how we add to that, I'd just like to say I'm quite privileged to be amongst you. We've got very beautiful minds together, and with beautiful minds, we can do beautiful things.
We've got some loud applause going on. It's great. Anyone else in for maybe a final thought? We've got some ideas of warm fire pits and cold plunges and revolution and mental health. And Gillian, yeah, go for it.
Well, I think that actually I was in a really crappy mood earlier and I had a really good time. So I think that actually this kind of communication, even talking about revolution, making world a better place, actually quite energizing. So I think that I just feel positive now. So thank you.
Great. Oh yeah, Evie. Sorry, I didn't see the hand. Go for it.
No, I was just going to say, I think as human beings, we're very naturally drawn to like fires and lights in the winter. So we need to understand why we keep maybe these holidays that we maybe disagree with now, and we should create new holidays in the winter and celebrate each other's holidays, because it just sounds like it's a primitive human need for us to come together around a campfire and, you know, set things on fire and eat good food and be around people. So
Simon, did you have a final thought as well?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it as well, actually. I found it really nourishing mentally and in the heart as well. Just so good to connect with people. Always, also other people always have something to teach you as well. So lots of learning, or just seeing things in a different way, or making you think about something. Or like Katie, I was just thinking about how, like, if you come on here and you're like, everything's terrible, or if you're like more like Katie and things are much more positive, then actually the reality doesn't change. The world's still the same. So it's almost like, well, you might as well actually be the sort of the happier version, because the reality of the world isn't any different depending whether you know who you listen to speaking. So I'm going to try and take that forward tomorrow. And also, I really, really enjoyed hearing Mikey speak as a participant, not as the person in the middle. So I thought he spoke very eloquently, and it was really nice to have a little peek inside his head there, actually. So yeah, I've really enjoyed it, and thank you to everyone that made it happen tonight. It's been great.
We're in this place because you're both wearing orange.
Don't know where the cash noise came from, but it was there.
Cashing in on the compliments.
Exactly, that's right. Exactly. Cashing in on the final thoughts.
It's great to have talk, but the what we do at the People Speak is try and turn talk into money. So that's what keeps us going. So you know, is all this talk somehow gets converted into cash. I'm not going to... Oh, do I have to give my final thought? There's still
Final
people
thought.
out there that haven't given their final thought. There's a lot of people. Some of them haven't said anything at all yet. But I suppose now that I've got the mic, I've got to give my final thought. To me, you know, I come from a extremely atheist family, but they love celebrating Christmas. And I think it is exactly that thing of like getting together in the middle of winter, or the beginning of winter, really it is, let's be honest. And actually just having just a get together and just having some drinks, vegging out in front of the TV, all those things, you know, that you do, having arguments about the quiz. It's kind of, I don't know if they did those in pre-Christian pagan times, if they had quizzes back then, but it does feel kind of ancient and kind of natural, and you know, yeah, I mean, I always find winter tough, but I sort of feel like tonight's session seems to have all, for some reason, more been about how to get through the winter, and I feel much more equipped to get through it right now.
Pause. Oh my God. I did both. I'm so good at the sound thing. I'm clearly a technological whiz.
Just hit any button, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that's right. Final thoughts about maybe how to get through the winter, or what you're leaving tonight with. George, maybe do you want to come in? Tell us your final thoughts.
Stay warm, but take the plunge.
Stay warm, but take the plunge. Stephen, anything from you?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with Mikey, really. I'm not observant as a Christian in any way. I'm not particularly Christian, but I do enjoy Christmas, and my memories of Christmas have always been about being cozy. And that was my point, really. It's just that we may have to alter our perspective a bit. I think we could be cozy some of the time. But if we want to meet up with relatives and friends, we may have to be a little bit tough and be prepared to meet up outside and be a little bit less comfortable, but still enjoy the company and, you know, conviviality and all that sort of thing. So it's about embracing extremes, I suppose, really, I think.
Yeah. Oh no, that was right. That was right. I told you I'm terrible. You're both wrong and right at the same time. I mean, that's amazing. Well done. That's impressive that you can be both of those things at the same time. But about embracing extremes, yeah, definitely. About kind of being cozy, but also finding ways to be cold and be together, and making those two things kind of match up. That's nice. I think we still need some final thoughts from Laura and co.
Yeah,
and
so
Annalena.
if I can say my final thought, it would be that I'm kind of looking forward to winter because I'm kind of excited to see what it brings. You know, it's a little bit like, it's so unknown, but it kind of excites me as well. And I'm very grateful for tonight because I came here with no expectation. It's my first time and I really enjoyed talking to you guys. So you're amazing, and thank you for that.
Yes, she's done the right one. Woo! Thank you, Zoe. No, I think I'm going to back up Laura here. I mean, really great bunch of people you are, guys, but some very interesting thoughts, which I'm definitely going to take forwards and do some more research on. I learned notes as well. So thank you, I guess. It's my only thought. And yeah, kind of feel more equipped. And I'm still up for those fire pits, so let me know. Cold swimming with Laura, fire pits. There you go. Fire and cold water and situation, yes.
And I think our final thought might come from Deli.
Myself?
Yeah.
All right. It's just that yeah, it's been an amazing experience to journey with you tonight, and I've enjoyed every aspect of your discussions and the journeys we went through, and the thought processes, and revolutionarism and that kind of stuff. And I'm really looking forward to meeting everyone in person at some point in time soon. And I just like to see you, and you're all amazing bunch of people. And I'm very privileged. I'm very happy and proud to be amongst you.
Great.
There's a couple of other people that have not said anything yet.
Yeah. Anyone?
But maybe we've got Deborah.
I don't think you're on.
We've got Deborah and Juliet. If you've got a final thought or an initial thought, you're very welcome to put it in at this time. No pressure. But if you want to, or you could even put it into the chat as well. I mean, it's been a fascinating, as you said, Delia, fascinating journey. And I think we need to say a big thanks to Rick for his, once again, his inspiring visuals and the whole People Speak team. It's great to welcome a new person in the middle of the table as well. That's always good. Let's just press all the buttons. Yeah, I mean, there's still chance for a final thought coming in under the blanket. We've still got 30 seconds left on this show. I just want to say to people out there on Facebook, do comment stuff, because we actually do read. In fact, we're obsessed with it, so we read everything. So do comment if you're watching this on Facebook. We love that. Woo, and well saved. And yeah, any final thoughts, or is it just time to play the theme music, the same old theme music? I feel that it is. So let's do it. Let's say thanks to everyone. We'll see you soon. Next Thursday, next session, Aberfeldy Live, is on the last Thursday of the month, which is the 26th of November.
Thanks, folks. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Good night.
Bye.